Lisa and Eric are the two people who know all the technology. So we're trying to get it all figured out. But Paul, I think we're ready for you to kick us off.
You gonna run the clicker or do I have a clicker?
I don't know where the clicker is.
Oh, where's the clicker?
I don't know.
It's all right. No, we don't need a clicker. I'll
okay.
just do the old next slide, please.
So
So okay.
all right. Yeah, just.
I'll just do next slide, please.
Yes, this is going to be
Okay.
one of those mornings.
All right, folks, let's kick it off.
There we
Here
go.
we are at Million Cups. Be sure to check in using the app. If you check in,
Not the app.
Sorry, the QR code. If you check in 3 times, you get a pen. If you check in 6 times, you get a notebook. So prizes drive participation. So go ahead and do that right now. So welcome to 1 Million Cups. Our mission is to lower the barrier of access to education, resource, and connection for new and inspiring entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurship is a tough and sometimes lonely journey, and you do well to have some helpers along the way. And that's what this community is. So how do we do that? We work toward this by creating a consistent program for each 1 Million Cups presenter at every one of the almost 200 instances of 1 Million Cups in the United States. 9 o'clock local time every Wednesday morning. And the Kauffman Foundation provides us with background software to make it work and training for all of our organizers on how to coach our presenters to give an effective presentation. Every community is unique, and I encourage you to visit other 1 Million Cups instances. I've done that physically for several of them. If you're an early riser, you can go to Million Cups on the East Coast via Zoom and then put it to bed, take an hour, and come in here. So we are the top 1 Million Cups instance in New Mexico, and we achieved that through a small denominator. There are lots of others in neighboring states. So our key pillars are presentations, not pitches. So in a pitch, your company is flawless. You have the perfect team. You're going to displace Google and Facebook all at the same time. And that's in front of potential investors and partners. Here, it's a different matter. You're engaged in a startup. There are daily challenges. You don't know if you have the right strategy. You don't know all the right people. You don't have all the right resources. But many of those things are in the room because there are people here who know people who know how to help you with just about any problem you might have. So that's what we're for. Yeah, there's more pillars, but what the heck?
Sorry.
We run for the community by the community. I'm just telling you, we are not highly paid. We are volunteers. We're not doing it completely out of altruism. I think all of the organizers will tell you we get a lot out of being 1 Million Cups organizers. Besides pens and t-shirts and cups and stuff like that. You can't beat the swag. All right, so this is our mission. And it's really, what can we do to help you? You get up here as an entrepreneur. You're used to concealing a lot of your vulnerabilities and challenges. And here you can just let it all hang out. We're here to help. This is not Shark Tank. It's more like a pillow fight. Okay. And it is easy to apply to present. It'll be easier once the platform stabilizes.
Right.
But it's easy to apply to present. You can approach any one of the organizers. If you have a for-profit business, that is, it is designed to sell things for more than it costs to make them, you are eligible to give a talk. You should have, we prefer that you be in market. So you've sold something to someone who's not your mom, or maybe you have an idea and you were awarded a grant or startup funding or something. That also counts as money because somebody likes your idea. So we're willing to consider some companies that are not in market yet if they've received some kind of recognition. And we will coach you on how to present effectively and what you can expect out of this audience. So it's a good deal to give a Million Cups talk. I know because I did it last week and I had a couple of good follow-up conversations from that. And I encourage everybody at any stage of their business to do this. This is our crack organizing team. I'm Paul Sauter. Lisa Atkins has been our host at Fat Pipe for coming on, 8 years? In next week, it'll be 8 years?
8 years.
8 years here at Fat Pipe. Let's have a round of applause.
Woo! 8 years.
Eric Rentz-Whitmore, he split after setting us up, but he's a great organizer as well. Adam Sparks-Bucknell is not here today.
Not here.
And Sonia and I are holding down the fort. So you can approach any of us about the feasibility of giving a talk or what you need to do or are you ready or any of that kind of stuff. So please come watch us. And we wouldn't be here without our sponsors.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah. Fat Pipe has been our host for these 8 years. Jason Collin Photography, always making us look good.
Right.
More Than Organized, organizing your stuff, your thoughts, and providing creamer. GOS Capital and Noventum Custom Software, always providing donuts, but we are supplemented today by the Sprouted Kitchen, right? So get back there and get some while the getting's good. Not yet. Not yet. Oh, soon. Okay. Next slide. That's it. Thanks for joining us. And who coached our presenters? Probably absentees.
Those are old. Lisa, coach. Okay, so our first, I'll talk
Go
about
ahead.
the first one. Okay. Well, let me just get the PowerPoint slide up for them. All right, hold on one second. So. All right, and just y'all the slides to go.
Okay,
To be
sounds
moved.
great.
All right, so this morning, Ingela from Courageous Artistry is going to be our first presenter. We actually have 2 presenters today, so that's pretty awesome. So come on up. and
Thanks so
and-
much.
Stand on the X, please.
All right, I'm on the X. Good morning, everybody. I'm Ingela with Courageous Artistry. I was actually scheduled to present a couple weeks ago, but got COVID. And as a public speaking coach, I figured it probably wasn't good to stand up here hacking away and sounding like a frog. So thank you for your patience and for scrambling at the last minute to cover me. But I'm really excited to be here with all of you this morning. I have been attending 1 Million Cups for perhaps a few months now, perhaps since the beginning of the year or so. And I have found this to be such a warm and welcoming and helpful community. And I'm excited that it's finally my turn to present my business. So the initials after my name, I am a licensed mental health counselor, also known as therapist or psychotherapist, and I'm a board certified coach. But there's a little bit more about my background that I would love to share with you as well. So next slide.
Oops. Oh, sorry. There you go.
So I was born and raised in Santa Fe. And I always dreamed of becoming a professional classical singer or opera singer. That was my life's dream, something I pursued. I moved abroad. I moved to Canada to do my training, and then I moved to Germany to sing. And I lived in Germany for a decade. I was able to establish myself as a professional opera singer. I really enjoyed that. It was very fulfilling to me, very meaningful. Music was always the only thing I ever wanted to do, which is good because if you can think of doing anything else, you probably should, because it's not the easiest way of life. But I had the luck and good fortune to make somewhat of a career. And I also ran a private voice studio on the side. A lot of people who are professional singers also teach. So I did a lot of that teaching as well. I decided in 2012 to move back to New Mexico. I had some changes in my personal life and figured it was a good time to come home and figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So I came back. I applied for a master's in vocal performance at UNM and thought I might want to go the academic route for teaching and singing. Decided very quickly I didn't want to go the academic route and thought, gosh, what else am I good at? What else do I like to do? So I think we can change to the next slide. Absolutely. So I went to school after that, got a Master of Arts in Mental Health Counseling, and I worked as a therapist in a community agency here for a few years, and I really enjoyed the work. Once again, it was very deeply meaningful to me. I felt like I was making a difference. Every day was different. There's a lot of independence as a therapist, which suits me well for my personality. Nobody's micromanaging you. Nobody's telling you what to do. It's just you and your client or clients in the therapy room. But then it kept happening that people from my performing life, because I still have an active performance career, would come to me. Sometimes it would be a text message very late at night to say, Ingela, I have a performance tomorrow and I'm freaking out. You probably know what to do about this. And I'm like, well, yeah, I do have some tips for you. And I had, managed my own performance anxiety and stage fright and all of the types of anxieties that come along with being a stage performer and having a career like that. So I just started kind of getting all of these seeds planted and figuring out, maybe this is a business idea. So I, decided, how can I turn this into a business? I think we can go, yeah, perfect. Thank you, Sonia. So in January 2020, I decided to launch a coaching practice. Now, I will get a little bit into the differences between the coaching model of help and the therapeutic model of help in just a moment. But I decided that I was going to launch a coaching practice so that I could work with people outside of the state of New Mexico. As a therapist, you're only working in the state where you are licensed. And we all know New Mexico has a rather small population and not a ton, as it turns out, of professional performers who might need my help. So in an effort to build a more viable business, I decided to brand myself as a coach. And I started reaching out to all sorts of contacts that I had all over the world, really, especially in the classical music scene, letting them know what I am now doing. And I started working with performers mainly. So first 2 years of my business, I was mainly working with performing artists, and I still do. And that's very, very enjoyable to me. I have a real heart for the arts and for what performers have to go through. Pro athletes have sports psychologists and pro performers have really nobody. So it felt very exciting to me to provide a very specific service to the performing arts community. But once again, the world and universe just started speaking to me, and I kept having friends and colleagues in other professions. I happen to know a lot of attorneys. I'm sure all of you know a ton of attorneys too. There's just a lot of them around. And a lot of my attorney friends or friends who worked in corporate settings would come to me, same type of deal, late night text messages or phone calls, help. I'm giving a presentation tomorrow for 20,000 people online in my company and I'm really panicking. Or help, I have a bunch of job interviews I have to do to become a judge. And I'm sitting in front of this panel and I have to go through this really intense process and it's just not something I'm used to. And I tend to get really nervous and flub up. Can you help me? Seems like your skills could be useful to anybody. And so I thought, interesting. I hadn't thought of working with anybody besides performing artists, but they kept presenting themselves to me. So I shifted my coaching practice slightly to include public speakers or anybody who has any type of speaking or presenting to do, which really is many, many different types of people. And I do this all on a coaching model versus a therapeutic model. So there are many reasons for this. First and foremost, biggest reason is the liability aspect. I can't be doing therapy with anybody outside of the state of New Mexico. And these issues that I am dealing with in this group of clients, they don't really fall under a neat diagnostic category. So even if I was doing therapy here and working on things like this, it might not be paid for by insurance. I might have a hard time justifying the treatment. It's not considered to be a real crisis thing. We all know that many people in the population have high levels of anxiety when it comes to public speaking. We don't pathologize this. We don't view this as some disorder. We just say, some people love it and most people really dislike it. So working in a coaching model means that not only can I work anywhere in the world, and I do a lot in Zoom, on Zoom or in person, but it also is a difference in the terms of the types of methods I'm using with my clients. So in a coaching model, you are viewing your client as whole and perfect in this moment in time. And you're helping them achieve what I call that final sort of 5 to 10% that they're looking to get in their lives. So it's more, you're doing great and you have a lot of tools and skills and resources already. You have a lot of strengths. How can we leverage what you already possess into helping you succeed and really shine in these different areas of your life? Versus the therapeutic model, which many of you may be familiar with, and I'm speaking in very broad generalizations right now, but by and large in the therapeutic model, it's housed under the medical model of treatment. We are viewing someone as somehow deficient or having some type of pathology or disorder that requires a diagnosis. For some people, obviously this help is very, very necessary, but it is more, how do I help a client come back to their baseline level from some type of distress or dysfunction in their lives. So a very different model, a very different style of working with folks. So the way I work with people, my main thing that I do is one-to-one coaching. I meet with clients twice a month over a 4-month period. This has shifted and I've iterated this program many, many times. Who knows, when you see me and talk to me next, I might be doing something different than 4 months because I kind of take it as it comes and do a lot of experimentation with that. But that is when people come to me and say, I really need some lasting change. There are some things I want to delve into. Let's work together for this amount of time. I also do intensive coaching days. Sometimes I refer to them as VIP days. Those are better for really, really busy professionals who say, I don't have the time to meet with you a couple times a month. That's too much to me. That sounds too overwhelming. I want to learn some skills and tools in a very brief and intense format. So that tends to be more for people who are working in very busy corporate structures, don't feel like they have a lot of time, want to get in and get out. And we can actually accomplish a fair amount in 3 to 4 hours. I do a fair amount of workshops and presentations. So I do a lot of online speaking in all sorts of different ways. I'll get to some of them later. I have yet to hold in-person group workshops, but it's something I'm working on. As I mentioned, I do a lot of my work over Zoom, which I find to be actually very efficacious for the most part. And when available, I love to do in-person work because that's a different level and quality of things that I can achieve. I use a software platform called Coach Accountable, which is designed specifically for coaches, and I've really enjoyed it. It houses a lot of video material, audio material. You can link to all sorts of things. So I have my library, I have worksheets, I can write up session notes for clients, share it with them. They can interact with the platform as little or as much as they would like. It provides a lot of accountability and structure for folks. Of course, I always have a handful of people who say, this platform overwhelms me, Ingela, please don't make me do anything in it. And that's fine too. Okay, I think we can go to the next one. Thank you. So what I do with clients when they say, well, how are you going to help me with this? I explain to them that we're working on a couple different things, especially if they come to me, let's say specifically for public speaking. We are going to help you learn how to manage your anxiety. And we're going to do that from a cognitive perspective, an emotional perspective, and also a physical perspective. So I work with clients to give them tools and skills so that they say, oh gosh, I'm feeling really anxious. Oh, I know what I can do. I have a couple things that I can employ. For some people, working more from the physical perspective is the key. Other people really enjoy the cognitive work. Other people really enjoy the emotional work, but I like for them to have a broad range of skills and tools there. Then if I'm specifically working with public speakers, it's also a type of vocal work that I'm doing because a lot of people, especially when they get anxious in front of crowds, tend to really speed up or they get really quiet or they mumble, right? So the voice is affected, of course, by how we are feeling inside of our bodies and how we are feeling with our anxiety. Because if we are more anxious, we tend to rush, we tend to shrink. So I work with them to help connect the voice to the body and really help them with vocal range and tone quality and volume and also vocal rate. I'm probably actually a little speedy this morning, to be honest, because I'm on my second cup of coffee. But I try when I'm speaking to slow myself down so that the audience has a chance to process and perceive what I am saying, right? Generally speaking, when we leave some type of presentation, we're taking away very little content that the speaker has shared. We are getting more an impression. So I find that folks tend to hyper focus on the content of what they are saying. And while it is important, some studies show that it's only about 7% of what we take away in communication. So I find that stat, I don't know if it's true, some people want to debunk it. I find it really fascinating though, if we can approach things from that direction. And then there's also the physical aspect of what we do when we are speaking, right? We want to feel calm and grounded in our bodies. We want to make sure that our physical presence is reflecting what we intend to show to our audience. And that doesn't mean that we are trying to make our anxiety fully disappear, go away, has nothing to do with any of that. It's how can I present myself in a way that I appear more confident. So it can kind of be a fake it till you make it thing, but more so if we are putting our bodies in shrunken positions or we are feeling very fidgety or we're making ourselves very small, we actually then feel more anxious because anytime we close our bodies off in this direction, we are sending a message to our nervous system that we need to protect our internal organs because there's a threat in the room. So if we can make ourselves larger and more open, we're actually sending calming signals to the nervous system. Okay, great, thank you. We can go to the next one.
Absolutely.
You're fine.
There we go.
One more back.
Oh.
Perfect. Oh. There we go.
Oh.
So a sample of who I work with. This is, I think, one of the challenges that I sometimes find hard to describe, which we'll get to in my challenges area. But I have attorneys that I work with. I also have a contract with the Public Defender's Office to do a few workshops with them. I have still my roster of performers who are coming to me for stage fright, anxiety. They are wanting to work on auditioning skills. They are wanting to work on the anxiety that they're having in building their careers, or perhaps showing up more presently in online ways. I have corporate types of folks who have to do a lot of speaking and presenting, whether in person or on Zoom within their companies. And these are often the people who present something and then walk away from it feeling like, gosh, I could have done better. I know more than this. I'm more confident than this. And somehow what I'm able to present in the room is not matching up with how I feel inside. I also have I have a Division I football referee and a Division I soccer goalie that I work with, who came to me through random channels, who wanted to work. The referee, was part of one of the big, I don't even know because I'm not a sports person, one of the big football groups. What do you call them? I don't know. Yes, he's part of the SEC. Exactly. And so he's on, national television, and he's having to be judged in everything he does. And he's a very confident professional in the rest of his life. But when he gets on the field and he's under pressure, his anxiety was really getting the better of him. I also work actually with a lot of entrepreneurs who want to build their skill set. So this could either be people who are needing to pitch a lot, because standing up and pitching in front of a room full of people who have a lot of power and money can create a lot of anxiety in a person. I also have a lot of entrepreneurs I work with who are looking to feel more confident marketing themselves online. So namely, let's say, like in a LinkedIn Live. I have a specific client right now who she's very confident. She knows her business. She gets a lot of business, and she knows she could grow her business more if she were to show up and be able to share her thought leadership with the online world. And so I'm helping her develop and work on strategies to use when she's appearing live on camera, because that's a whole new type of anxiety that sometimes we don't think about, that also falls under the umbrella of stage fright or performance anxiety. So in my marketing and visibility, these are the things that I've already been working on in a sort of willy-nilly throwing spaghetti at the wall fashion, I like to say, right? I'm sure many of you relate to this. We pick one thing, we try it for a while, we go, am I getting really the rate of return that I would like? We try another thing. So I have an online presence on almost all of the channels. I don't spend a lot of time anymore creating content because I'm finding that's not where my business comes from. So I'm trying to view it sort of as my professional portfolio in a way that if somebody wants to learn more about me or see me in action, hear me speak, they can look at their social media of choice and find at least something on there that I've done. I am focusing right now on LinkedIn Lives. LinkedIn is really pushing video content, especially live video content. I'm finding that's working well for me. I do a lot of in-person networking, really only since the beginning of this year, since I shifted my practice to market more towards public speakers and realized, hey, there are enough people that I could work with in New Mexico. I might as well get out there and start meeting some folks. It hadn't been necessary before when I was doing the performing arts focus, because that was more online networking. I have sort of partnerships and relationships with other subject matter experts. I have a couple important voice teachers in New York City who work with high-level clients on Broadway or opera. And when those clients are really struggling and therapy hasn't been quite the right fit for them, they send them my way. I used to do a lot of free webinar series to build my mailing list, sort of once monthly free webinar. I've kind of paused that for a while. I have in the past held coaching online office hours. That was interesting. Didn't really feel like it was the right fit. I have a lead magnet on my website to build my email list. And I do a lot of guesting on podcasts. It started off just performing arts, and now, I guest on other people's podcasts. I have a couple attorney podcasts that I've been on, and other businesses. It kind of spans the range of randomness, but I love being on podcasts. And then I do get a lot of, most of my clients probably from referral sources. Thank you, Sonia. So here are my challenges. I'm still definitely very much in a building phase of my business. Not sure if the pandemic or right prior to the pandemic was a great time to build a business or a terrible time to build a business. In a way, it was really good for me because I still do a lot of professional singing work, and obviously I wasn't doing any of that during the pandemic. So I suddenly had all this free time, and I could delve into a lot of learning about marketing and visibility, which was interesting. But it means also, I think, with the switch or the shift in client avatar, that I am still working on building relationships in my own community. I would like to continue improving my SEOs. There are not a lot of people who do public speaking coaching in New Mexico, but really you could work with anybody, anywhere in the nation. So I need to put more thought into that, because I would love it if my name would pop up higher in Google searches. I would love to get into corporate work. And I find that oftentimes you need some type of personal connection there, that you can approach companies, but it's usually going to land in their spam folder, or somebody's just going to delete it because they don't know you, and we all receive 1 bazillion emails per day. And then sometimes I do have a challenge describing the benefits or the outcomes of my services. For some people, it's very, very clear to them what I do. But I think because I have a really broad range of what I can do with folks, depending on the person I'm talking to, I might be describing it in a different way. So yeah, that I think about sums it up. Here's all my contact information. I would love to hook up with any of you on social media, and I am very curious to hear some of your thoughts and feedback today. So thank
Awesome.
you.
And if anyone has questions here in the audience, feel free to come on up, and you're going to introduce yourself and ask the question. Jason is up first.
Hey, Jason.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are
Jason
you?
Fallon, Jason Fallon Photography. So you have a lot of all live presentations.
Yeah.
A lot of clients who do live presentations.
Mhm.
Have you done any for clients who record video presentations or record online classes or something like that?
Yeah, so I have a whole workshop that I teach that's called Stressless Self-Recording. And it can either be for the type of recording that we're doing to record and then post somewhere for posterity, or it can, a lot of the techniques can be adapted for people who are doing live stuff. But yeah, it sounds like you kind of have a more specific idea there that
Sure.
there's maybe a market that I'm not targeting as well as I
for
could.
people who want to do it, like, one time you coach them through, you spend a day with them, and help them through recording the video. I think that would be.
Yeah, I like that.
And then about your challenges for the SEO,
Mhm.
for myself personally, on my website, I have, say, for example, headshots. I have a static page.
Mhm.
But every time I do a headshot shoot, I pretty much put a blog post up about it. So now I have 250 instances for Google to show me up. And
Yeah.
I write them for Google. Like,
Yes.
Say nobody reads content
Keywords,
like
right?
that. So that's just my suggestion for easy SEO. And then your other challenge of how to express what you help.
Mhm.
I started asking my clients for things.
Ah,
Like, give me feedback why you chose me, or how you found me and why you chose me, and then just put their quotes and ask them for Google reviews
yeah,
like that. And I think that helped my business in the past 2 years to just ask clients. They can say no, or they're too busy, but
It's
you get
true.
you get a couple back, then that's just something you can firsthand put on your website.
yeah, no, that's a good point. And I have been working on trying to get Google reviews. The challenge that I find there is that the work I do, some people would consider it to be something that they want to keep private.
Sure.
So I have an easy time getting testimonial material that I can then use with just initials for my website or for social media. But I have yet, I'm going to keep trying,
Yeah.
but it seemed, there's a way you can do it more anonymously on Google now. You used to be able to be fully anonymous, like anonymous Google reviewer. You can't do that anymore. It means you have to go in your email account and change your name briefly in order to post the review, so that you could do like Ingela O instead of my full name. But yeah, that's definitely an area where I need to be spending more time. Thanks, Jason.
I went from 11 years to 35.
Awesome.
Just ask.
Yeah. You
Thanks
gotta
for your
ask and keep asking, right? Thank you.
Well, hold on. We're going to do Kenneth real quick, and then Miriam. All right. So Kenneth, go ahead.
Good morning, Kenneth Segura with Invest New Mexico.
morning.
What is your fee structure? How do you charge your clients?
I charge them for a 4-month program, and then they pay monthly. And then if they do the intensive coaching with me, that's a one-time cost.
Can you give us an idea of that cost?
Sure. So right now for my 4-month program, I charge $2,000, so $500 per month. I do offer a little bit of a sliding scale if I have somebody who's a student or a younger professional who I feel like is a good fit for my services and I want to work with them. And then for my VIP days, I change it up depending on how many hours I'm intending to spend with the client. For some people, they say, ooh, 4 hours is too much. I only want to do 3. So it's anywhere from 500 to 750.
Okay, I do a lot of video work, and I have with corporate people and businesses. I would like to have someone coaching as we're shooting. Would you do that?
Yeah, I'd love to chat with you. I can
Right.
put or maybe Sonia can put my email address in the chat box and just
All right.
reach out to me. I'd love to talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My turn now?
Yes, thank you.
It looks like you're up.
Miriam.
Hi, Miriam.
More than organized. Nice to see
You too?
you. I think you're way undercharging
Okay.
personally, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
I want to know too, I think there's some other opportunities, the partnerships.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of options online to partner with people's groups.
Mhm.
Have you ever explored LinkedIn or Facebook groups as a way of helping someone else that already has a following provide a little bit of content to their people?
Yeah,
find
I've
those
done some
partnerships to
Facebook
be really
groups.
great.
I haven't done any LinkedIn groups, but I've definitely done some Facebook groups, and it's funny, I find it's sort of like, I think that's my kind of goal with the podcast guesting as
Mhm.
well. How can
Yeah.
I partner up with somebody else's audience where I'm not offering a service that competes with theirs, I'm offering a service that partners well with theirs.
Exactly.
And I always enjoy those collaborations. For whatever reason, they have yet to be very fruitful.
Yeah, there's a lot of groups that aren't necessarily up to par. But
Yeah.
just doing a few, it took me a couple years of
Uh-huh.
doing them kind of off and on. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden this year, I've had like 4 or 5 groups that are just like really solid and
Yeah.
continually getting me referrals.
Oh,
So
that's great.
yeah.
Okay, then I'll continue investing in that.
Okay.
It's one of those things, when you do that long-term investment of your time, you're crossing your fingers. Hopefully this is gonna pay off one day.
yeah, I think on social media, there's a lot of the one more try gets you over the
Mhm.
hump. And it's like, when do you call it off?
Yeah, yeah. No,
So-
but that's good encouragement to just keep trucking. Thank
Yep.
you, Miriam.
Okay, we're gonna do Sue online and then you two, and then we're gonna wrap it up because
Great.
we got the other presentation. All right, Sue, go for it.
Good morning, Ingela. One of the things you mentioned, so this is more of a suggestion than a question, that you're trying to raise your visibility. And I'm wondering, with the kinds of clients you've had, especially the sports figures, could you leverage your relationships with them so they could become spokespeople for you?
That's a good question, Sue, and it's something that's crossed my mind, but once again, I actually do promise my clients confidentiality, and a lot of them, when they come to me, especially the sports people and the performing artists as well, there's a lot of taboo around admitting that you are struggling with anxiety. And so while I would love to find a way to benefit from those partnerships more, my general sense is that this is sort of a secret for a lot of these people that they're not talking about with their general public, but I can always ask. And the
Well,
worst
it
they can
seems-
say is no, right?
It seems to me that you're focused on more than just their anxiety, and that at the end of the day, you're really helping them get in front of people, help their confidence, etc. I honestly believe, and actually because I know sports figures, they might come forward for you because they've really achieved something and you had an impact. It's just a thought.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's funny. My sports people are sort of anomalies in my practice. I really enjoy working with them because the work is very much the same. And it's interesting for me to learn about the different challenges that they face. But you're right. We are living in an age where mental health and wellness is much less stigmatized than it ever has been before. And perhaps I am just harboring a limiting belief or working on an assumption that they would want to go more public with it. So that's good food for thought for me. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Hi.
My name is Jessica Troy, and I'm actually an SEO copywriter.
Oh,
So I can help you with that challenge.
Great.
We could talk later. But I just wanted to kind of get an idea of what your content is now that you're not seeing being helpful.
Mhm.
So are you content is king when it
Mhm.
comes to
SEO.
SEO, and Jason was right in the whole, you write it for Google.
Mhm.
My job is writing for Google,
Yeah.
essentially. So I want to see like what your challenge for SEO content is
Mhm.
exactly. Because I don't know, I haven't had a chance to look at your website, so I don't know if you have a lot of content on there that's just not, resonating
Mhm.
with the Google crawl, or if like you're a little bit sparse or something like that. And I also find that when I'm writing for other clients, I've written for all kinds of folks.
Mhm.
They generally tend not to have the specific pages
Mhm.
that will get you the kind of ranking that you want.
Mhm.
If you're a lawyer and you want to rank for lawyer in Albuquerque, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So what is your like specific structure that you're seeing content is not quite working yet?
It very honestly, it's none.
Okay.
It's very little. At the beginning, when I launched my website, I did start a blog, and then I got distracted by many other shiny things, and found, that I just wasn't writing anymore. What I would like to do now is I'm doing these LinkedIn lives. Showing up on video live is fairly easy for me. I can pick a couple topics or a couple points I speak on, and I have an assistant who works for me a couple hours a week, and she's researching some transcription services, because the idea I had was I could get transcriptions of the live material and then break it down into just a few different blog posts,
Yeah.
focusing on some keywords. So that's kind of my next.
That might even be part of your page structure. Like
Okay.
The actual website structure, not
Yeah.
just blogs.
Yeah, it is. My blog is a part of my website.
Right.
Yes. Mhm.
But what I'm saying is like your content ideas for the blogs
Uh-huh.
may also translate well into just writing web pages.
That's true. Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's talk.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right, and Lisa says Sue's on to something.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
Right?
The Rock,
If
Dwayne
the-
The Rock Johnson will give testimonials, and
Right?
who am I to say my client's wrong?
Well, and
Thanks, Lisa.
so I have two more questions for you.
Yes, ma'am.
And which are, first of all, red or green?
I used to be a green girl, and now I'm red. Yeah, I changed.
Well, I'll tell you what, so I'm gluten-free now, and let's see, La Salida has gluten-free red chili, just in case
Ooh,
anyone's
okay,
interested.
good
Yes,
to know.
it's very good. And what can we as a community do for you?
I'd be happy to connect with any of you on any social media channels. If any of you have any ideas of people I could reach out to, I also do a lot of free work. I'm more than willing to come in and do a free 1 hour
Don't
workshop.
ever do free work.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, we're not sure about that.
Yeah, well, I like the exposure of coming in and, coming from an arts background. If I didn't do the free work that I did at the beginning to establish my business, I don't think I'd be where I am right now. So there's that aspect of it too. But yeah, so if anybody has any ideas of groups of people that I could give a talk to, I'd love to hear that. So,
Okay,
thank you.
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will warn you guys, we'll probably go a little over 10 just because I started us off late this morning and we gotta give Fallon some time here this morning. Lisa, would you like to announce, to bring up Fallon?
I'll do my best with my scratchy voice. Fallon has presented to 1 Million Cups before, so she's with the Sprouting Kitchen. You guys have seen her. She's here to give an update. And my understanding is she also brought you guys a treat. And so I'm so envious that I can't be there to taste these delicious treats she brought.
All right, come on up, Fallon.
All right.
I have to go after the public speaking expert. All righty.
Whoops. Okay, is that the beginning? That's the first one.
That
Okay,
is the
sorry.
beginning.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So my name is Fallon, and I'm the owner of the Sprouting Kitchen.
Woohoo.
You can go to the next slide.
Okay, no worries.
Yummy, yummy. Okay, so everyone, you're coming around, you're getting your blue cornbread. Sorry to the folks on Zoom. You'll have to come in person sometime. It is gluten-free. There is some dairy in it though, so just so you know. And this blue, wait, don't eat it yet. I forgot that part. Save some at least, save a couple bites. So this blue cornbread, The blue corn was grown by Lorenzo Candelaria. He's a 7th generation farmer here in the South Valley. And the blue corn seeds that he used to grow it with, those seeds he's been collecting them from different pueblos around New Mexico. And those pueblos have been growing this blue corn for hundreds, if not thousands of years here in this region. And saving seeds is an art, is a practice that is actually being threatened and it's really important for us to support. Lorenzo also hand picks, harvests, grinds, roasts, all of this by hand every single year. And a fun fact about blue corn is that it has more antioxidants than blueberries.
Wow.
So go ahead if you haven't yet.
Wow.
Take a deep breath and really enjoy the blue corn that you're eating. Think about how rooted in the land it is here. The love that it went into growing it, into cooking it. That was me. And really be mindful when you're eating it. And this is really important. We know studies now show that when you're mindful, when you're eating something, when you know where it comes from, when you're more connected to the source of it, you actually enjoy it more, it tastes better, and you get more satisfaction out of it. Okay, next one. So my business, the Sprouting Kitchen, we're really also rooted in this experience that you just had, really connecting to where your food comes from. And my experience that got me here is I'm a registered dietitian. And in my experience of working with Food Corps, it's an AmeriCorps program where you work with schools to incorporate school gardens, cooking and nutrition all into schools. I got to know a lot of the local farmers here in Albuquerque, and I also worked at UNMH for a couple of years. And through that experience, I realized our society, we're so disconnected from the food, where we come from, where the food comes from, and seeing it in adults, in kids, in myself even, that when we are more connected, that's how positive eating habits are made, right? When people are excited to eat fruits and vegetables, when they understand that they come out of the ground and not from a grocery store, that's when people actually eat fruits and vegetables and enjoy them, which is really important as a dietitian to understand that. So the Sprouting Kitchen, we host engaging cooking classes outside on local farms and virtually online. We empower people with the knowledge and skills to cook and eat nutritious meals and support their local food systems. Go to the next one. So we have 3 main audiences. So first, our first audience is the general public. So that's anyone can go on our website and purchase the tickets to one of our classes. And our general public, these classes mostly happen in person on local farms in the growing season here from about May to October. We do some virtual classes. We're gonna do a series in the winter, but mostly we focus these classes on that really unique on the farm experience. On the next one. And then second is sponsored. So we work with really great organizations like Presbyterian, NMSU, the Farmers Marketing Association, where they fund our classes, meaning they pay me, but then it's free to a lower income, health, high risk audience to attend our classes, which was really important when I was starting this business because the farm to table movement can sometimes be exclusive and expensive, and I want to make sure that this is something that is accessible to all. And we also, that's okay. We also do those classes in person on the farm, but we also teach them virtually. So for example, with Presbyterian, we've taught a virtual class about twice a month since March of 2020, where folks meet us on Zoom and we all cook a meal together. And it's been really amazing to see this community that we've built of folks who can join a cooking class from anywhere from their home and still learn something. And then our last audience is corporate. So these are cooking classes that are designed as a team building experience where folks can, spend time together, get to know each other in what better way than sharing and cooking food together. We've taught nationally and locally, and we do these a couple times in person, but we mostly focus these on the virtual experience, especially because for teams that are located in different locations, they can all join this. Something new that we've been doing is folks can get a package sent to them that has some local ingredients. So for example, they can actually get blue corn flour that we all join on Zoom and make blue corn polenta, and calabacitas. So this has been really fun. It's kind of like a Blue Apron-esque, if you've ever heard of that, where people all get something to cook with. What is our impact? So we started in 2019. Since then, we've taught over 250 virtual cooking classes, reaching a global audience. We've taught over 60 in-person classes at 12 different farms and a brewery, that's new this year, in Albuquerque and Santa Fe. And we've worked with over 20 private and corporate groups. So as you know, we're still a young but growing company. I've had to ask myself, not what group are we most passionate about? Because that's what I'm very driven by passion, but which audience is actually most lucrative, right? What's going to make our business most financially sustainable? So as you can see on the bottom here, the corporate is actually by far the most lucrative, especially because we are targeting more of a virtual experience, and those just take less time to set up and less staffing to administer. And I love our in-person classes, but they are just a lot of work, or essentially like setting up a pop-up kitchen every time. So that's been a bit of a challenge. So how are we growing this audience? We are networking at events like this. Word of mouth is definitely our most successful way of marketing to a corporate audience, and that's been a big way that we've grown that. And then we've done a little bit of paid ads, but it is something that I'm interested in doing more of. And then some growing pains. So it does feel like maybe we have too many audiences, although I love each one. It's been challenging to market and explain our business in a way that can fit each audience. And too few staff. This is, of course, an issue I think many people struggle with, right? I'm the only full-time person. We do pay some contract workers. We have a lot of great volunteers, but I would love to work more with a consistent team. And then just seeking mentorship as we're in this kind of like 3-year phase of the business where I think maybe restructuring some strategic decisions would be important. And that is all. So if you have any questions or ideas, I'm happy to hear them.
Woo. All right, and yeah, again, anyone has any questions, come on up here. Make sure to introduce yourself and go for it.
Miriam with More Than Organized. Hello, Fallon.
Hello.
The niche thing and which audience, I think there may be just some confusion. I think your niche is people that are interested in cooking and food and nutrition.
Yeah.
The location of where you're finding them is the 3 different areas that, so you might just be
Yeah.
mixing them up a little bit, which then can be confusing. I used to do the same thing. It's like, oh
Yeah.
no, it is the same person. They just happen to be in 2 locations.
It's like marketing a bigger message than having your niche.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if you're coming from this area, here's your options. And from this area, here's your options. So that might help
Yeah.
with that. I had another point and now I can't remember what it was. I need some Lorenzo's blue corn. That's what it was.
There you go.
I gotta dust off the cornbread crumbs from my beard. Mary's not shy about coming back up again when she remembers that
Yes.
question. So I'm Franklin Wilson. I operate a private foundation, and we have 2 farms, one in Costa Rica and one in the North Valley here. And I brought some tomatoes today, heirlooms. So are you doing the seed saving yourself?
No, that was just an example of how supporting a farmer who is doing the seed saving.
What's your interaction with the corporate? I know you said they're your most lucrative. How does that work?
Yeah, so if a company is interested or if we've connected, then they can go to our website. We have a couple different options they can choose from, and then we set up a time to chat about more of the details and schedule the class.
I go to a lot of events where there's catering.
Mhm.
Do you have the capacity to do any catering?
I do a small amount of catering just for fun, but it is a whole nother beast of a business. Yeah.
And if you had a mentor in the room with you for an hour or 2, what would you ask or require of that mentor?
I think I would ask just bigger picture, like strategic 5-year plan, how to grow, how to eventually have enough cash flow to pay other people.
So you'd seek somebody that's had a business for a long time.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
Hi, I have a background working with corporate companies. I'm a tech recruiter, so in the past, my job is different now the past few months, but I would get in contact with CEOs, director of engineering, HR, whoever, negotiate a contract and then begin the process, closing big fees. And so that's my background. And then this is kind of like going to her point too, or her presentation. Marketing has two aspects. You have active and passive, and you're doing active, right? You're paying for the Facebook ads. And so that's good. But if you want a corporate customer, they're not on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn, they're on Angel Co. And you can actively actively find customers on these platforms without spending any money. So if you want to get corporate, you have to get in front of them. And that's like, you can hack company emails from rocketreach.com. You can find out, I would get in contact with people who manage, what is it called? Company culture, HR, events. You can cold email them. You can, I would follow up with those cold emails at least 3 times because like the rate of response for email marketing, the third follow-up has more than 50% of the response. Yeah. So I would definitely get into the active because corporate's never going to find you. They're never going to come to you. A lot of the companies I worked for were like Blue Apron, and these people will respond to you on LinkedIn. The people who found the companies, like, I mean, if you really like good at copyright and you don't waste your time in the first 3 sentences, then they'll respond to you. They'll give you feedback. You can find mentors there because people, once you get to the point where you're a CEO and you have all this knowledge, right? A big company, you want to tell people, but no one's going to apply your knowledge or else they would be on the track. So if you're on the track, they're going to give you the feedback for free.
Yeah, that is all good. Yeah, I've cold called and been very disheartened by it.
Cold call, I've cold called a lot and it takes, I would say it takes 1.5 years to get good at cold calling.
Yeah.
So, especially now with like housing's crazy, I know a lot of realtors are cold calling right now. So I would suggest cold texting.
All right, I'm gonna connect with you. You have a lot of good ideas.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm Barbara Dawson with Purple Mulch, and I'm a wellness coach. When you talk about where your heart is in serving the community, getting people to know where the food comes from, where my head goes is to some of the food pantries where people are going and they're collecting food. Are you aware of Seed to Need in Corrales? They've got about 3 acres of farming that they do. Volunteers go in, pick all the vegetables and take it to the food pantries. So it could be a place, even though it may not be a big money maker initially, and I know you say don't ever give anything away, but it could be.
That's different for her business because it's built into her structure.
And it may be a place though to go and get on the ground and teach the people that are going to the food pantries where the food comes from.
Yeah.
So that's one idea that comes to mind for me because they harvest and give 5,000 to 10,000 pounds of vegetables away every year, vegetables and fruits. The other thing that I love to do is ferment food, the preservation of it. Do you ever do any classes in that?
A little bit. It's not, I like to do it personally. I find can be challenging to teach, or I haven't, that's not quite my niche of person I'm reaching. So,
All right, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the work you're doing. I like the cornbread.
Thanks.
Hi, I am Allison with Metrics Together. I, like you, the business that I have really is centered on getting people excited about something that they have been taught not to be that excited about. And we also are trying to have a more national kind of lucrative presence. So I was wondering, in your corporate relationships, especially in the virtual world, how are you integrating kind of the local piece in a locality that you may not be in? And how have you seen the benefits or challenges of doing that?
So I think what you're saying is if someone isn't in New Mexico, but we let's say they're in Seattle, could we connect with like a local farmer in
Right,
Seattle?
Exactly.
That is the goal eventually. Haven't really just had the time to do that piece of it, but I would love to somehow be able to, source from different farmers and be able to connect people locally to where they are.
Yeah.
So,
And it might,
Yeah.
eventually be a nice sort of local farm collective, getting local farmers in touch with one another
yeah,
so that they can also have an impact on these larger kind of corporate environments. with
totally. Yeah, because
Bigger dollars.
there's
bigger
so many
wallets.
people doing virtual team building because of the pandemic. And I'm part of a group, like I know people doing cooking classes for corporate. No one's doing like tapping into local food, which I
Yeah.
think is a really like, there's a lot of possibility there. A lot of companies really have green initiatives. And I think that there's so much opportunity there. So.
Yeah, and I think one more thing and kind of going on that is corporate social responsibility is a huge thing. And so if you can tap in to SCR people at large corporations, I think you would have a lot of success there. I used to work at the Bank of New York Mellon, and they were always looking at like creative ways to get more
Yeah.
corporate social responsibility on the
Yeah.
table. So
Yeah.
an option.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
No question, just a testimonial. Her food at the classes is tremendous. Just tremendous.
We did a class at the mushroom farm he used to work at, so last year. Yeah. it was fun.
Well, and I have a question.
Sure.
I noticed you have connections with NMSU.
Mhm.
Do you have connections to Arrowhead at NMSU?
No.
No. I would check, so Arrowhead is focused on helping entrepreneurs. And I'm thinking they may have someone who's into agriculture or who could be a mentor
Yeah.
in that field. So I will get you the email address for someone I know at Arrowhead, and that might be a good connection to find a mentor.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
The entrepreneurship at an ag school.
Yeah.
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 So I'm gonna kind of throw a less businessy question at you, more of a I hate cooking question at you.
Sure.
I hate cooking. Yeah. How do you get folks who have zero interest in learning to cook or learning about any of this stuff? And it's weird because I watch a lot of cooking shows, but I hate doing the cooking. So how do you get them interested? Or even like in a corporate group building
Totally.
thing, how do you get those folks who are not super excited about being there into it?
Yeah. That is, especially in the corporate, because if someone's buying a ticket to a class, they're probably interested, right? At least somewhat.
Or even in your marketing, how do you get folks who might be on the fence about it or saying like, well, maybe I'm a little intimidated by going to a class and saying like, well, I have no background, I have no experience.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to work a pan.
Totally.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So especially with the corporate, I always think about like, right, the one person who doesn't even own a knife, right? Like you have to kind of teach to everyone. So just making sure that our recipes are really easy. There's going to be some fun things in there, but making it still really approachable. And the focus of the corporate classes is more the experience than actually learning a recipe. Whereas the other classes, it's a little bit more on the recipe, but still the experience. But especially with the corporate, more about the experience, I think is really something that probably could be worded better in our marketing as I think about it. But, and we also just add in a lot of time of facilitation where like we're using food as a medium to connect people. So how can we add in those different points to just people to connect? And then hopefully we spark some interest that they will want to make the recipe again or just
Go more to a private event or do it personally. If you don't have that little part in your content about making the connections through a fun experience, you should do that.
Yes.
Because that's a
Right.
great point.
Yeah.
And it distracts from this, I hate cooking, why should I do this?
Yeah.
Food comes from the grocery store.
Yeah.
And more about the like, oh, I can connect with other folks. I can be in a group and have fun and also, do some cooking.
Yeah.
So if that's not part of your content already, it definitely should be.
Yeah.
Around the goals, we could
snacks. Yeah, or bowling, yeah.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for coming today and bringing treats. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, we never get treats.
Yes, yes. And so I have to ask you those final two questions. Red or green?
Green.
Green, all right. What's your favorite meal to have green with?
Ooh, probably like eggs and potatoes,
Ooh,
breakfast
okay.
foods, yeah. Can't beat that.
Right? And what can we as a community do for you?
Yeah, so I think because I'm really prioritizing growing the corporate audiences, if you work for a company or if you're just by yourself, that's fine. But if everyone here probably knows someone who works for a company that could use a team building activity, if you could connect me to one person, you have my email. Well, it's on there somewhere.
Yep. I'll put it back up real quick.
That would
and I'll
be
put it in
amazing.
comments.
I can send them the info, and then there's also a team building page on my website that you can click on that has all the info. Yeah, I would just love to get connected to more local or non-local companies, either or. And we can do in person until about October and then virtual after that.
Cool. Yay. Thank you, Fallon. That's all.
All right, thanks everybody for coming, and I'm going to close this out. I think you've seen from both of these talks that people giving a presentation are sure to get helpful suggestions and connections from the audience. So if you have a for-profit business and you've put off talking to us about scheduling a Million Cups talk, get on it and get up here. Let's have a great week, and we'll see you all next week.
Woo. Thank you.